Hello, welcome to day 8 of the 10-day beginner yoga challenge. Today's class will be a brief intro to power yoga. This class will be a bit more challenging as we build heat and strength in the body and resilience in the mind. Optional props today is a yoga block set at the top of your mat, and we will get started in downward facing dog. A few breaths here to land. You can spread your fingers out wide, soft bend in the elbows, and generous bend in the knees as you lengthen the hips up and back. See if you can shift the weight into the legs and try to find a nice long spine. Take a moment to root down into the breath, into the pose, into this moment. And then on your next inhale, we'll lift the right leg up, three-legged dog. On your exhale, plant the right foot between the hands, high crescent lunge. Press into the feet. Inhale brings you up to standing, hands can come to hips, or maybe extend the arms up overhead. Take a moment to root down into the feet. You can bring your feet out wider like train tracks for a little more stability. On your exhale, we'll take a devotional warrior. So bend your knees. Bring that left knee to a hover as you cactus the arms, squeeze the shoulder blades together, maybe lift your gaze. One more time, high crescent lunge. Straighten the left leg, reach the arms up overhead. On your exhale, devotional warrior, bend your knees. See if you can bring that left knee to a hover. Cactus the arms, squeeze the elbows, shoulder blades together, maybe lift your gaze. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Straighten the left leg, reach the arms up overhead. This time we'll open up warrior 2. Arms out to a T, and pivot the left heel flat, toes pointing over towards the left long edge of the mat or slightly pigeon-toed. 2 breaths here. Keep pressing down strong to the legs. And maybe reaching towards opposite ends of the room. Can you stay active all the way through the fingertips? One more full breath in. And stay for the exhale. Maybe sink the hips a little deeper. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Straighten the right leg as you send the hips up and back. Reach the fingertips forward. On your exhale, begin to hinge down, meeting in our triangle pose. Soft bend in the right knee as you lengthen the hips back. Right hand can find a block if you'd like. And then maybe lift your gaze. See if you can work to stack that left shoulder over right. A few more breaths here. Keep lengthening the hips back as you reach the crown of the head forward, trying to take up lots of space here, reaching through the fingers, reaching through the crown of the head. You can stay here, or we'll take this into a half moon balance. So keep the triangle shape. We'll shift our way over onto the right leg. If you have the block, you can move the block forward and then slightly over towards the right if it gives you a little more space for the shoulders. Left leg begins to lift. Working here this time to stack our left hip over right. Then still keeping that left shoulder stacked up over the right shoulder. A few more breaths here. Maybe lift your gaze up past the left hand for a little extra challenge. Can you stay strong through both legs? One more full breath in. On your exhale, we'll bring the gaze down. We'll meet in a forward fold. You can heel toe your feet out a little bit wider, maybe find a ragdoll, pedal out through the legs, shake the head, yes and no. And setting up for our chair pose. So option 2, bring big toes to touch or heels slightly separated, or maybe feet about hip width distance. You also have the option to take the block, slide it between the thighs to squeeze the block to help engage the legs. On your inhale, we'll lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, so hands to shins or maybe quads. And exhale, folding forward. Chair pose, inhale, lift your chest, bend your knees, sink your hips. A few breaths here, hands can come to prayer, or maybe extend arms up overhead, biceps by the ears. See if you can spiral the pinkies in towards one another, shoulders away from ears. One more full breath in. And on your exhale, folding forward. If you have the block between the thighs, you can set it towards the top of your mat. This time we'll press into the feet. Inhale brings you up to standing, maybe head comes up last, lift your gaze. On your exhale, hands to heart center, Tadasana. Full breath in. And to empty the breath out. When you're ready, press into the feet. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Maybe lift your gaze, or option 2, find a little back bend. On your exhale, swan diving forward, forward fold. Take a breath into halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, hands to shins, blocks, or quads. On your exhale, plant the hands. You can step back, meet in a high plank. On your exhale, high to low plank or lower, knees, chest, chin. Take a breath into upward facing or cobra. On your exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog, send your hips up and back. 2 breaths, breathe in, breathe out. Inhale and exhale. Other side, inhale, left leg will lift, 3-legged dog. And step the left foot between the hands, high crescent lunge. Left knee stacked up over left ankle, hands can come to hips, or maybe extend the arms up overhead. On your exhale, maybe sink the hips a little deeper. Can you relax shoulders away from ears? Devotional warrior. On your exhale, and bend your right leg. See if you can bring the right knee to a hover. Cactus the arms, squeeze the elbows, shoulder blades together, lift your gaze. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Press into the legs, extend the arms up overhead. One more time, devotional warrior. Bend your knee, sink your hips, cactus the arms. Inhale, high crescent lunge. And take your time. On your next breath, warrior 2. Pivot the right heel down. Arms can come out to a T. A few breaths here. Can you root down into the feet? Left knee stacked up over left ankle, making sure you can see the left big toe, so externally rotating the hip over towards the left side of the mat. A few more breaths here. Can you stay active through the fingers? And take your time, Trikonasana, triangle pose. Straighten the left leg, soft bend in the left knee. Reach the hips back. As you lengthen the left fingers forward, on your exhale, hinge down. Fingertips to block, or maybe fingertips to the mat. And see if you can maybe lift your gaze. Use your right hand to make you a little lighter, working to stack right shoulder over left. A few breaths here. Begin to really take up space. So reaching through the fingers, and then lengthen the hips back as you reach the crown of the head forward. You have the option to stay here or take this into a standing half moon balance. You can take the block with you if you'd like, if you have it. Shift your weight onto the left leg. Left hand will walk forward and then maybe a little bit over towards the left if you have the block. Right leg will begin to lift. As you shift the weight forward, can you stay strong, active through both legs? So not only pressing into the left leg, but also into the right as if you're pressing up against an imaginary wall. Keep reaching through the fingers. Work to stack right shoulder over left, right hip over left. One more full breath in. On your exhale, wherever you are, forward fold, step the feet together, find a ragdoll. You can pedal out through the legs, maybe shake the head yes and no. And setting up for our second set of chair, you can either bring big toes to touch, heels slightly separated, or feet about hip or shoulder distance apart, making sure knees stay stacked up over ankles. Take a breath into halfway lift, flat spine. On your exhale, chair pose, bend your knees, sink your hips, sweep the arms up overhead, or maybe hands to heart center. Take a moment to root down into the feet, into the four corners, making sure you can see and wiggle those toes. On your exhale, you can stay here or sweep the arms back to airplane arms, and then option to lift your heels for a drinking bird. Lower the heels, hands to heart center or arms up overhead, chair pose. One more time, chair plane or drinking bird. Sweep the arms back, maybe lift the heels. Extended mountain pose. Lower the heels, press into the feet, straighten the legs, reach the arms up overhead, maybe lift your gaze, inhale, option to find a little back bend. On your exhale, hands to heart center, neutral spine, mountain pose. 3 breaths. Full breath in, full breath out. Inhale, and exhale. Last breath, filling up through the belly, ribs, sipping a little more air, hold to the top. Open mouth, empty the breath, let it go. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my practice with you today, and I hope to be with you tomorrow for day 9.